Well, hello everyone. My name is Chip. I am here at First United Methodist Church, and believe it or not, today has been a pretty normal day around here. Although half the staff wasn't here, there was a lot of work being done and a lot of things going on, and for me at least, it seemed pretty normal. I have a couple announcements for most of y'all, and I have a devotion. I have a couple of things to say, so let's go ahead and get started. Number one, maybe I should encourage you. Let me show you a couple of pictures. I hope you can see on my phone. I'm just going to scroll. And in those pictures, if you can tell anything different, you can kind of get excited about it. Here's one thing. For those of you that are frequent on Wednesday nights, that's the fellowship door. And I think a lot of you will get excited about some things that are happening. What have I been doing lately? I know some of you have asked that. So I've been here at church a lot and going back and forth. And Altera Networks has been hard at work with the internet. Streaming has been a big deal. Walden Security, as you can tell, we've got some key fobs on some new doors, and things are still going on. Tonight, I'm doing this on Facebook and YouTube live, and for lack of better words, this is a good test for how it's going to happen next Sunday and how we're going to basically get better every Sunday at live streaming. So that's kind of a little bit of what's been going on. Another thing I wanted to tell you, and this is for youth, but everyone is invited. You can go on YouTube. You can search Ignite DublinYouthFUMC. Services will be streaming on YouTube this Sunday morning and Facebook and the website, but I'm going to let Brother Barry tell you more about that. For those of you in the youth group, parents, and anybody is welcome. Starting Monday, we will have a Bible study every day. Now I know that we're not going back to school until the end of April, most likely not in April. We'll have the whole month. So every day from Monday to Friday, 10 a.m., we'll be here live on YouTube and Facebook, and we will have a Bible study. You can chime in, you can type messages, you can ask questions. We'll try to make it as interactive as possible. We will have youth this Sunday night on YouTube and Facebook, and for youth, you can go to DublinYouthFUMC. We have a Facebook page, we have a YouTube channel, and that's how we're going to try it out and figure out how all this is going to go. Youth is going to be Sunday night at 6 o'clock. And I have something in store for you. So you don't want to miss that. If you're not hunting or fishing or something really, really important, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead and join us Sunday night at 6 o'clock. Throughout April, like I said, we'll have a Bible study for the youth. Anybody's welcome. Invite your friends. This may be the one time people can kind of join in our group without having to leave the comfort of their home or the comfort of whatever they feel comfortable with. Okay? So, all that being said, I want to read something to you that I was reading this morning, and I thought it was kind of, hilarious and so fitting. This is about Luther. And in 1521, that's April 1521, that's 499 years ago, just here in another few days. 4 years before that, he came out with 95 theses, and he pretty much opened up a can of worms when he came out with that. 4 years later, in 1521, he was called to basically face his actions or writings, or for lack of better words, kind of eat his words. The funny thing about it, in history, as it remembers, there was a diet of worms which took place. It was kind of like a meeting. It took place in an atmosphere of intrigue and political maneuvering. And listen to this. Pope Leo X issued a letter of excommunication against Luther. The young Emperor Charles V was reluctant to enforce it. To do so, he would alienate some of the most powerful people in that time, as Frederick the Wise of Saxony and German princes and a bunch of other people. So because of that, they convened a hearing in Germany in the city called Worms. Luther appeared and spoke for himself, and a bunch of dignitaries showed up, like Emperor Charles V, elected people of Germany, archbishops, bishops, high-ranking churchmen, and noblemen, knights, distinguished townsmen. And on April 17, 1521, Luther appeared before this assembly. Pointing to a stack of books, the presiding officer asked Luther if he would acknowledge authorship of these books and revoke the heresies they contain. Here is the smart application that we ought to take from this. Luther claimed authorship, but requested time to consider the rest of his answers, as it touched on matters of faith and salvation. What I took away from it was the fact that he took time in a very, very unraveling and tumultuous and very intriguing time on so many aspects of society. He took the time to ponder and think about his answers. So could I say this? How about we slow down a little bit and take time to consider our answers, as today a lot of things touch on matters of faith? Here is the better part of this whole story. The next day, Luther answered, and that answer rang very boldly and clearly. He said, after summarizing everything in these books, I can neither say no nor deny. I'm not able or willing to go back on my word, because it is not safe nor right to act against conscience. So on this day, I take my stand. I can do no other. God help me. That was the end of his speech. It ran very, very hard in that town hall. Made a lot of hoorays and a lot of boos. And actually, the emperor adjourned the court, and Luther had to go into hiding for his own safety. Does that sound familiar? Later, the Diet issued the Edict of Worms, which declared Luther an outlaw and banned him from Germany, and banned his writings. So I thought, a lot of things that I read this morning sound so fitting for what's happening today. Let me read something that never changes, and you can put all your money in, and that is God's word. Psalm chapter 46 says this: God is our refuge and strength, always ready to help in times of trouble. So we will not fear when earthquakes come and the mountains crumble into the sea. Let the oceans roar and foam. Let the mountains tremble as the waters surge. A river brings joy to the city of God, the sacred home of the Most High. God dwells in that city. It cannot be destroyed. From the very break of day, God will protect it. Nations are in chaos. Their kingdoms will crumble. God's voice thunders, and the earth melts. The Lord of heaven's armies is here among us. The God of Israel is our fortress. And I think you know this verse very well, but it's so good to hear it today. Be still and know that I am God. I will be honored by every nation. I will be honored throughout the world. The Lord of heaven's armies is here among us. The God of Israel is our fortress. I think there is a song about the Lord of heaven's armies. Kind of rings in my head, but can't really carry the tune. Bravis and Dwayne can do that a whole lot better, as we all have enjoyed it lately. But I wanted to tell you, and let me finish by this. What you know today is all that you know. And I know that makes no sense, but think about it. I hope that what you know today is what God's word says. And I know that God is still God. That word still, that reminds me to be still so I can be in God's presence. Because everything may crumble all around me, and we may all have to go in hiding. But one thing we know for sure, and that is that God is still God. And if we be still, we can be in God, in His presence. Rest in that. Meditate on that. And tonight, as you lay your head on the pillow, remember one word. Remember one thought. Still. Be still. Be still in God's presence and know that God is still God. It goes without saying, I love you, I miss you, and I can't wait for the day we're all back here. But take courage and remember, you can still do good and you can still be in God's presence, even though times are changing.